Oh, here we are. Hi, everyone. This is Sipping and Spilling the Tea podcast with Riviera. And I'm so excited to welcome Dionne and to talk to her about her books and everything that's going on and a lot of questions that I have to ask her. So, Dionne, you want to tell us a little back history about yourself and any projects, anything that you're involved in? Please do.
Well, my name is Dionne Grayson. I could consider myself to be pretty homegrown. I did elementary, middle, high school, undergrad, and graduate school in Milwaukee. So career-wise, Milwaukee has been very good to me. I really love the experiences and opportunities that I've had here. And so my career really evolves around workforce development, capacity building. I have been an entrepreneur, gosh, for maybe 25 years now, and always experiencing new things and enjoy it very much. I enjoy spending time with my godchildren, nieces and nephews, my husband. And so I'm just excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Like, I know we were talking behind the scenes. I'm very honored and blessed to just have you come on here. Like, I'm just so speechless. So I'm just so happy and stuff. So thank you, God. You just never know who you
Hmm.
run into, who you meet, and just like you said, it opens up a lot of doors.
Absolutely.
So I'm so excited. So let's get into the questions. I wanted to know what inspired you to become a writer.
Okay. So that's a really interesting question because I never really sought out to be a writer. This might sound like an oxymoron, but I knew that I wanted to write some children's books, but I did not consider writing to be a thing. And so I spent some time, taking notes, piecing together what I thought the books were going to be about. I'm very passionate about people walking in purpose and gifts and careers. So I knew it was going to be something like that. I wasn't sure what the age range was, but there was a time where I just really felt stumped. And so I put everything to the side. And so I just needed to spend some time listening. And then one day, Jolanda Rogers, she's the president of Talk Publishing, she came to me one day and she was starting an author lab where she was working with individuals to help them to become published authors. And she said, I want you to participate in this lab. I think you have something to say. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll participate. And I thought that was going to be the start of my children's books. And that's what I wanted to work on, but it's not what I felt in my heart. It's not what I felt in my spirit. So the first book that I started with was The Making, Trust God to be the chairman of your boardroom.
Mm.
And now looking back, I see that that book needed to occur first before I wrote on, but before I started writing on the children's book. So when you ask what inspired me to be a writer, I'm just now leaning into this is a real thing. Like this is a career. And it's something that I'm really enjoying and just now, honestly, just really starting to realize that this is a thing. I just thought I was going to write some books. I didn't necessarily consider myself to be a writer, if that makes sense.
I like how you said that. Like you didn't know this was just going to be a thing for you, and you had to start writing the first book, which I
Hmm.
read your first book, and you kept talking about God's confidence. And I wanted to ask you that, in your opinion, your perspective, can you, I guess, define what do you mean when you say God's confidence?
It's who we are in him. I think as individuals, like for me personally, especially when I was younger, I spent so much time being insecure, a lot of time being insecure. And so when you're that way, you're listening to what other people are saying. You have like an unnecessary, very large microscope looking at yourself. And when you talk about God confidence, the focus is not really on you, it's on who you are in him. And the word of God says that we're more than conquerors through Christ Jesus. We know that God designed us to do something very specific, and it's up to us to figure out what that is. So I know who I am in him. So even like with everything that I do, even coming on here today, I said, okay, God, you provided this opportunity for me to be on this podcast. What is it that you want people to hear? It's not about Dionne. It's about those who are benefactors. We're not doing this podcast and the two of us are just sitting here and, you're going to put it as part of your archive. It really is about those who are benefactors of our gift. And so for me, that is spending time, in the word, reading my Bible, praying, talking to the Lord, and understanding who I am, who God says I am, and not necessarily who Dionne says she is when sometimes I'm up and sometimes I'm down, or what validation I'm receiving and not receiving.
I love when you what you said that right there. And especially when you said insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me and a lot of women and men, we always forget about men, especially black men. We all deal with that insecurities and doubts that we
Mm-hmm.
don't know where to turn or who we are, or we search for validation from people and we go out on our own and we never ask or let it be known like, God, guide us, be my tour guide, help me
Right.
out. And
Right.
we just go on our journey and we get lost and
Mm-hmm.
we follow behind others that are not really good for us. So I'm happy that you pointed that out. That's I ever since I started my journey, it's been, God, what do you want me to do? Is This is my calling, this is my purpose. Let me serve you and serve people and let me do the best I could do every day.
Right. Like in Jeremiah 29:11 in the Message Bible, it says, I know what I'm doing. I have it all planned out. And so I have to remind myself of that, sometimes when I want to do something or an opportunity presents itself and it's uncomfortable for me, I have to remind myself, okay, God said he knows what he's doing. He has it all planned out. He knows me, he designed me. He's the manufacturer of
Yeah.
me. How dare I question that? Like how dare I question the maker? And so if he provided this, so walk in it. You got the goods to make this happen. You got the goods to make this great. So it's a constant reminder all the time, all the time.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And can you talk more? Can you tell me more about your children's book? My son, I purchased one, and my son, he loves it. He carries everywhere he goes. My niece, she loves it. The first thing that attracted me to your books is that I saw us, I saw me.
Hmm.
And I could remember as a child looking at books that I never saw myself
Hmm.
in a book. And to see my son, I used to tell myself, like, if I can have a book and my son could see him, he could just know anything is possible. That there's no such thing as you can't be this, you can't be what society try to limit us to be. So can you just go into details about your children's book? Because I really do love them.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And your son is adorable, by
Thank
the
you.
way. So my book is called The Children's Gift Series. And you can purchase it on Amazon and on my website, buildingyourdreamsllc.com. But to your point, there's a couple of different reasons why I wrote this book. And number one is what you just said, is that when you look at all of the books, the children's book across the United States, just slightly over 10% of those books are representation of Black kids being main characters. And so there's a level of confidence, that you have when you see yourself in the books. There's an I can that comes with that. When I go to schools and I'm talking to classrooms to the kids, and when they turn the book around and they see me on the back, they're like, "This is you? Like you wrote this?" Like just the excitement and like, how did you do that? And they want to talk about it. And so I really think that it's important for them to be able to see themselves. And there's this movement where authors are really working to have better representation with kids of color. I'm a part of this group with Crystal Swain Bates. She's a very successful children's book author, and I'm a part of her Author Success Society, where and her goal is to increase the amount um, of books that have African American kids in them as the main characters. So that's my number one reason. And then number two, I'm just very passionate about, like I said, people walking in purpose, about careers. And so I never think it's too early for kids to see, I'm good at this and it connects to this career. I think that's very important. And you're never too young to start learning that information. And then I think lastly is if anybody out there is an educator, you know that repetition is an excellent teacher, not just for kids, but for adults as well. And so what I absolutely love about this series, there's 10 books. All of the books read the same. The only thing that's different in the books is it's a different character with a different career and a different gift. So if you imagine the kids reading through these books, they're seeing the same words across books. It builds confidence because they're starting to see words. The words are starting to look familiar. The colors that I chose for the book were on purpose. They're vibrant. The characters jump off the
Yes.
page because I hear so often you hear of kids and adults talk about how much they do not like reading. And that bothers me every time I hear someone say that. And so my hope is that with these books, with the Black characters as main characters, with the vibrant colors, with the repetition, with the characters jumping off the page, that kids will develop a love for reading. So those are my reasons behind publishing the Children's Gift series.
And I love your reasons behind it because the colors, yes. My niece Nair, she likes it. My son, again, he loves it. And when he looks at it, he said, "Hey, he's a builder. I'm a builder too. I
Mm-hmm.
like to fix things, Ma. I like to do this." And he said, I was like, "Well, you can make it as a career." And he said, "Really? You get paid for building things? Really?"
Mm-hmm.
And it gives him so much excitement, and he sees it. And when he sees his dad, he goes, "Look, Dad, it's a book that looks just like me." And it just, he starts to love to read. At first he did not like to read at all. You can tell him like, "No, I'm not going to read." He was very embarrassed of reading. And when we got your book and we read it with him every night, he started to like, it gave him confidence.
Yes. Yes.
and and it brought him to life. He's already lively, but it gave him that extra confidence that he needed for school, to let him know that. And I will never forget, he said this in the car, that, "Mom, I can do anything if I put my
Mm,
mind to it."
mm.
And that right there, and his dad has noticed that too, is that, okay, it's that can do attitude. And your book brought that. It gave, that's what I experienced with my child. And I'm just, I'm happy. I really, again, I really
I'm
believe in
happy
the book.
too. That warms my heart because that really is the intent. And you never know what will stick with kids. You never know
Yes.
what thing they'll see or something that'll be said where it really resonates with
Yes.
them and it turns into something. As we know, we see kids all over the world who are very talented, and a lot of it
Yes.
starts out at a young age. That seed was planted. So I'm so
Yes.
excited to hear that.
Yes. So when did you know words had power? I
Mhm.
know for me, my mom always said, "Be careful what you say. Your tongue is a powerful weapon." When did you know that, when you were writing your books, like telling stories, that words have meaning?
I think for me, it's the response that I receive from people, especially when I wrote my first book. I'm an introvert, and so I'm a pretty private person. Not that I'm trying to keep all these secrets, but it's just my temperament. And so for me, words were very powerful because in the making, Trust God to be the chairman of your boardroom, I was really sharing experiences. These are questions that people ask me all the time about how do you mix God in business? Like what does that look like? What does having a relationship with God look like as you go navigate business every day? And so as people coming back to me, saying, "Wow, I never thought about to pray about business decisions. I never thought about to have a conversation with God. And I never thought about to use like things that I'm fearful about, turn that into a task list and say, okay, because I'm afraid to do this, I'm going to do it anyway." Like I never thought about those things. So when I see those experiences that I've shared and how they've really blessed people and made them think about how they navigate with their walk with Christ in their business, I think that was, as far as literature goes, that was really, really eye opening to me because this is information I was sharing privately, but not necessarily sharing publicly on a different kind of platform. And I think that's very important because, like I said before, these books are not written for us to have them sitting on a shelf, but they're
Yeah.
for those who are the benefactors of our gift. And that book in particular has gotten some really wonderful reviews, just because it's very practical, it's very everyday, it's stuff that all of us go through, and it's about decisions that we make. We can either
Mhm.
listen to the voice of God or not. We can trust our instinct or not. And
Yes.
either way, there's consequences to both of those decisions.
Yes, that's so true. And I'm glad that you said that because when the company I used to work before, we never discussed religion, political,
Hmm.
you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. And I used to chase after money, like let me chase after this, let me get this.
Hmm.
And I felt that I started noticing that wasn't valued. I started noticing I was going down a path not within my purpose, not within my dreams or what I was trying to accomplish in life. It took me to lose it all.
Hmm.
And then once I lost everything, I would never forget. I prayed to God and said, God, I wanted to be a manager or director in the healthcare field. I want to do this. I want to build a legacy for my child. And I'll never forget when after I prayed, I started to cry.
Hmm.
And it wasn't sad tears, it was tears of joy and happiness because after that prayer, I knew something was about to happen.
Hmm.
And within 2 weeks later, God blessed me with a good job and it was able to support the dream and the purpose I wanted to start in my journey. So I'm happy that you said that because when we allow God to take control of our life and we trust him and we be obedient, things started to happen.
Right.
And
And oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say too that I think sometimes people confuse that with being a Bible thumping, at the job, and that's not what it is. We're a representation of God in the earth. Like we
Yes.
look like Him, and so it's showing up at work on time. It's doing what's required. It's being excellent. It's using your voice, um, and then when you're asked questions, it's an opportunity to share who it is that you represent. But I think a lot of times, people may not listen to us because of how we're doing things at our place of employment. But we're supposed to operate in excellence, and we
Mhm.
listen and we spend time so that we can hear and get wisdom on how we are supposed to move and do different things every day. The Bible says, He said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw men unto me. So our job is to lift Him up. And we lift Him up. We don't even have to say God, not one time, but it's just how we move every day in our business decisions and our interactions with one another. And I think sometimes people get that confused. They make it, deeper than it really is.
Yes. Yes, we do. A lot of us do. And speaking of your book, Making Trust of God to be the chairman of the boardroom, I like how you reference Goliath in the story.
Hmm.
And what made you reference that story in your book?
So with that, so the making is really about. I'm looking at the life and ministry of David in the Bible, and how he rose to the king of Israel. And so when you just go back to one of the tenets of the making is sheep tending. And so sheep tending is those are the things that you're doing that nobody knows about. That it's just you and God, and you're perfecting some things. So while David was tending sheep, he was spending time with God, he was singing songs, he was in worship. And then also, that's when David became a warrior. He had an opportunity every time different animals like a lion and a bear would come and they would try to attack the sheep. He fought them. He fought them and won. And now David, he could have easily, he wouldn't have been wrong if he would have ran up a tree or, whatever to get away from the animal, but he took what he was doing seriously. He did it with excellence. And because he did that, he was training to be a warrior. So when the opportunity presented itself and he saw that Saul and his army were going up against the giant Goliath, like he already had some God confidence because he had been spending time with the Lord in prayer. and in worship. And then he was practicing something privately that nobody knew what he was doing.
Mm.
So when that giant came and he volunteered, everybody looked at him like he was crazy, but there was a confidence that he had. He knew that he could do it because of what he was practicing in private. And so it's the same thing with our with us in business. A lot of us have secret gifts. There's stuff that
Yes.
we're doing in private in our
Yes.
homes that nobody knows about. And it's time to share those with the world. And sometimes we do it out of fear. We're afraid to do it because we're afraid about what people are going to think.
Yes.
And then sometimes we just need to make time, to do what it is that God designed us to do. I remember the first, I've been, like I said, I've been an independent contractor for, gosh, I've been an entrepreneur for years, over 20 years. And I remember I got a contract. I knew what I was ready for because what I was doing at home that nobody knew. And an opportunity presented itself to me that I was ready for it because I knew how to do it, but there was some stuff that I had to get together.
Mm.
So I accepted it, and then I got some stuff together and I did the contract, and I'm still benefiting from that contract today. That was over 25 years ago. But I knew what was on the inside of me because I knew what I was doing at home. I knew what I was practicing. I knew what I was perfecting. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I was brave enough to say, "Hey, I can do that, and this is why." And I took advantage of that situation. But you can only do that when you're practicing stuff in private. You're building up that confidence, not looking at yourself how you see yourself, but looking at yourself how God sees you.
I love that. When you just said that, I strongly believe that you have to get prepared. You
Yes.
have to be prepared. I see a lot of people who want to be business owners and they are limited by fear or other people insecurities that is projected onto them of self-doubt. But also while they're in the midst of living in fear, they're not getting prepared.
Right.
And then when
Right.
opportunities come, they miss it.
Right. Exactly.
So I love that you said that because you always need to be prepared because you never know
You never
when
know.
God's timing arrives.
You never know. And you want to be able to jump at it. You want to jump
Yes.
at this. It's always preparation. Always.
Yes. And speaking of confidence, can you explain? You told me this off, but for people who are watching, what is God's confidence? Can you explain that?
God confidence is how God sees us as opposed to how we see ourselves. Earlier, I said that, God in Jeremiah 29:11, it says, He says, I know what I'm doing. I have it all planned out. So when opportunities presented itself, we have confidence in Him that we can do whatever it is that we were designed to do. And it's really, really just looking at the Bible and seeing what is it that God says about us. And 100% of the time, I guarantee you, it's going to be polar opposite of those negative things that we think about ourselves, those insecurities that we have. He is the manufacturer of us. He's the one that created us. And so when we're insecure, when we're fearful, when we feel like we can't, we're questioning the manufacturer. Just think about what a
Mm.
manufacturer does. We don't question the manufacturer of an airplane,
No.
right? Like the person who designed it, they did what they did. They knew what they were doing so that it can fly. God designed us. So when an opportunity presents itself, when something's in your spirit, when you feel an instinct to do something, don't doubt yourself. That's you. But lean into how you know he designed you to do it and just allow it to manifest. I promise, especially with public speaking, people are so afraid of public speaking. And it's like you do it, sweating, whatever, but afterwards, you don't die.
No.
Like, the world is still, revolving.
Yes.
Like there wasn't this big earthquake. Like you are still alive and living. And we work ourselves up so much with this kind of stuff. And all we need to do is just say, okay, God, I see you how you see me. And you made me in your image. I am like so.
Yes.
And it
God,
takes,
you made me of your image.
yes, yes.
I love that. I love your words. They're so encouraging, very motivating. They motivate me. They touch me like in my heart when you say that I am in your image. A
Hmm.
lot of us what can you tell a young man, especially black men in society, who um, is known or told that they're supposed to be just athletes, they're very limited, or drug dealers, so much negative things that they're put on. And we know we're all, we all grow up in certain environments that limit us, or some of us, we try very hard, but we always have those, either the environment or naysayers that said, you cannot be this. What advice do you have to tell the young men and women, of course, when it comes to that?
I think it starts on the inside, and I know that there's a lot of people who are in really challenging situations, and so you have to believe that you can. Like, you need to be able to see something different. And so I think that's the first thing. And you may not understand what different means completely, but you know that what you're in is not it. And you want something different. And so I think once that wells up on the inside of you, and you know that's something that you want to do, you have to surround yourself with the right people. I
Mm,
do not know anybody that will, if you have somebody that comes up to you and they say, look, this is what I want to do and I need help, this is my situation, can you help put me on a path there? There are people out here that are willing to assist with that. They really are, especially if you're somebody that's serious. People will take out the time to, have you participate in classes, whatever it is that you need to do. People will wrap themselves around you. But I think you need to get serious and you need to see yourself doing something different. Reach out to the right people, and then it might mean removing yourself from some people as well. And sometimes it's family, and sometimes it's just for a season. And I know that sounds harsh, but sometimes your life really depends on it. Whatever your purpose is, whatever it is you are designed to do, or even just to live, your life depends on it.
I like how you said that, when your life depends on it. Um, there's a lot of people out there that we use titles, especially family members, as titles, as we feel obligated to keep certain individuals in our life because they hold a big title. And sometimes those individuals affect how we see ourselves, or what we feel or we can become or do better. And I guess what I'm asking you is, have you ever run across that where you have to let a family member go, or have you ever, what words do you tell yourself to, for you could get the confidence or remove any negative insecurities that you have?
So my mother, and she's been gone for about 10 years, and I know there's some separation things that she had to do in her life. And I remember one time her telling me that, stuff that she's told other people, that, I love you, but I love me more.
Mm,
And that has always stuck with me, regardless of who it is. If it's a toxic relationship, if it's something that's just doing you harm, you could love someone, but you absolutely have to love yourself more. And I think, especially as women, and I'll go as far as to say as Black women, I think sometimes we take on the world and we think we have to do everything. We might not necessarily bow out because we feel like we need to handle it. We're being superwoman, wearing all these hats.
yeah.
Sometimes we just need to bow out and say, I can't. Sometimes we need to remove ourselves from situations, from people, and that is completely okay. There is nothing wrong with it. Sometimes it's permanent and sometimes it's temporary. I mean, I've done that with family members where there was a period of time where I had to back up because it was very toxic. It was very toxic. And then I had to come back and reteach them how to engage with me,
Mm.
because a lot of it was my fault because of things that I was allowing. And so that time away gave me time to reflect. And I said, we're going to do this again, and we're going to do some reteaching. And so that was something that I had to do on my part as far as what I was allowing to take place.
Ooh, I like that. Reteaching. Huh. I like that because you're reintroducing yourself over
Oh,
again to
absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
Oh, I just love that. I That's something I need to do. Reintroduce the new version of myself to
Yes, absolutely.
individuals.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love that. Have you ever thought your books, from your children book and your books will motivate or inspire individuals?
Yeah, I think, just given the nature of how I'm wired, absolutely. I want people to read. I have the children's books. Then I have, some things to go with them. I have a coloring book, a matching card game. Then I have the making. I have a goal setting journal because I'm a goal girl. And so I want people to read them and believe that they can. I don't want people to sometimes we look at people and we think that like they're special, they have some special gift, they have some special power. It's for everybody. Like everybody can accomplish goals, everybody can walk in purpose. Like this is every single person was designed for something. It's not going to look like, the person next to you on the right or to the left, but all of us, we definitely have something. So my books were absolutely meant to inspire, whether it's inspiring a child by seeing themselves in a book and them being introduced to different careers, or an adult that says, this is going to motivate me to start goal setting. I was at an event in Atlanta, and there was these two women in their 70s. They were at the event, and we talked for about 10 minutes, and they bought the goal setting journal, and they were talking about how there's some things that they need to get done, and that they were going to work together to keep each other accountable. That blessed my soul. And so it's not just when we're young, but when we're older as well. I mean, we still have things that we need to do. So I really do hope, that is the intent of, the books that the books that I wrote, is to really inspire people to know that they can, that to believe that they have purpose, and then for the babies to, see themselves be inspired and develop a love for reading.
I love that, especially the story about the older ladies, because a lot of us feel, or we've been told, we're too old to complete a lot of
Yeah.
goals or careers we want to do. Like you're too old, you can't do this, and it hinder us from doing the things that we love, that we have
Right.
passion for. So I love hearing that they had goals, they want to tackle them, and it's never too late.
No, it's never too late. Never.
Never too late. I'm a strong believer. It's never too late
Cicely
to
Tyson, she wrote a book before she passed away, and it was her first book.
see. Look at that. See, you never too late, and I wish people could just grasp that and just know,
Mhm.
like, it's your life.
Right.
Live your best life,
Yes.
and yeah,
Life is
and
meant to be enjoyed.
it is.
Mhm.
And don't allow others to cause confusion or make you doubt yourself.
And not just others, but don't allow yourself, because sometimes it's us. Sometimes we need to remove ourselves. Sometimes we need to reteach, reshift.
Yes.
And so, don't allow others, but ourselves too. Some of us are involved in things that we shouldn't be. We're sitting
Mhm.
in somebody else's seat. Get up and allow that person to operate in their gift, because, a lot of times our time is up. We're doing stuff that we're not supposed to be doing.
I love when you said that because a lot of us hold on
Oh, yeah.
and we don't know how to let go. And
Hmm.
we never see the beauty of goodbye or
Right.
elevating to our next purpose.
Right.
We're so content of being comfortable.
Right. Oh, yes. And that's a dangerous place to be.
It is. It really is. And you can get forced out too.
Right. Right.
So instead of getting forced out, let's transition to move along to our next step in
Exactly.
life.
Exactly.
Yes. Do you have any new projects or any events you want to tell the viewers, or you want to let us know what's going on?
Well, the children's gift series, is in the final edit of the Spanish version. So that will be coming out soon. Very excited about that. And so I have people waiting on the Spanish version. So if you have children, who are, English as a second language, or they're learning Spanish, it's good to buy the books and have them, side by side. I'm working on some videos that I'll be sharing soon. just helping people who want to publish a children's book. And so I'll be sharing my perspective, one beginner to another, just share some of my experiences with you. And hopefully you can look at those short videos and learn from them. You can follow me on Facebook, Dionne Grayson, Dionne Grayson by Design, and you'll get information on those. But those are kind of things I'm working on. And then I'll be, I'm at different festivals and, locally and across the country. So, but those are probably the biggest things that I'm working on right now.
And what advice or any healing tips or anything you could give to young women and men, of course, that are trying to walk within their purpose?
So I think the first thing that I would say is lean in. All of us have stuff that we're dreaming about. All of us have things that we're thinking about. There's some things that are gnawing at us. So I want to encourage you to lean in and know that God designed you to do it. And so you just have to be brave enough to step out. I promise you're not going to die. The world is not going to stop. There is great satisfaction in walking in purpose. And you'll be surprised at the things that happen, the opportunities that present themselves. But in order for that to happen, you absolutely have to lean in. So anybody who's listening here today, and I know some of you are like, oh my God, but I'm so scared. Do it anyway. I cannot tell you how many things I do afraid. Now that's a rule that I have of mine, is that when somebody asks me to do something or an opportunity presents itself, and my reason for not wanting to do it is fear, I do it. The reason that I do it is I will not allow fear to have a foothold on me. Fear is not going to dominate my life, and it's not going to dictate my decisions. So if I feel that emotion, I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to encourage you to do the same, to do it anyway. And even if you got to move your schedule around, I had to start going to bed earlier and waking up at a different time so that I can get some of my things done. My day is rearranged just to make some things fit. Sometimes we got to make some changes. And like it was said earlier, life is meant to be enjoyed. So, in addition to that, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Figure out what those things are that are important to you, whether it's walks. One thing that I'm doing now is when people say, hey, I want to meet with you or let's get together, I'm like, let's meet somewhere and walk. I love walking. I love the outdoors. I love being by the water. It's a way to get in some good time with people and then exercising at the same time. So we absolutely have to make ourselves a priority because we have this vision for our lives, but our bodies have to be in alignment with that. We need to be able to get up and go and do the things that we need to do. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not able to do that.
I love that. Don't live in fear.
Mm-hmm.
Move things around. Prepare yourself. Put God first in everything you do.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Dionne, it's been nothing but an honor just to have this chat with you and for you to share your knowledge, your wisdom, and all good things from you share with the viewers. And that's all the time we have.
Thank
And I could talk to you forever. I really can. You guys, please check out her book. Oh my God, please follow her. This queen is, oh my goodness, she inspired me to be better and to really walk in my purpose and not to live in fear.
Thank you.
I appreciate you anytime. You guys, thank you for watching Sipping and Spilling the Tea with Riviera and our special guests. And tune in next Sunday. Got great tips for health, journey, and of course, walking in your purpose and healing and loving yourself and living a juicy, joyful life.
Oh, I love
Yes. Bye, you guys. Thank
that.
you, Dan.